The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest stories in the NBA.
And another roster move. We dig into the details coming up after this on Locked On Bucks.
You are Locked On Bucks, your daily Milwaukee Bucks podcast.
Bucks have signed Amir Coffey. He is a name, I think you probably brought him up quite frequently earlier in the offseason in terms of like low-key targets for the Bucks. We were talking earlier, recording this morning with Ty, of the Euro step, and we both pointed out, the obvious of like, well, I feel good about the depth that this team has overall, but depth on the wing, like who's going to play the 3? That's the one spot that you're really unsure about, and enter Amir Coffey. So I say there's a caveat. That is, as first reported by Eric Name, it's a camp deal for Amir Coffey. So it's not necessarily a contract. That being said, I have a hard time seeing a Bucks roster without Amir Coffey on it, and I think this essentially buys them some time to figure out how do we create that 15th roster spot and at whose expense is it going to be? Because with the camp deals, you're allowed to carry, like 19 players, something like much more than your 15 throughout training camp. So that's what this does. It gives the Bucks that ability to, okay, we're going to stash him and we got him and can kind of bring him along. We'll see him in the preseason. We'll see him throughout camp. I just don't see, unless Amir Coffey's shot is broken and he has massively regressed since we last saw him, I don't see any scenario where he is not the 15th man on the roster.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised the Bucks even signed him to a camp deal. Like, Coffey is somebody who I thought would just get a straight up, maybe deal. A vet man. Yeah, a standard deal, maybe a vet man at this point in the offseason, but surprised that he's a camp body. But yeah, like I like the signing a lot. Like he doesn't necessarily fit into that really young age group of players we've been talking about, nor is he that older vet. 28 years old. He's just like a solid player. Like that's the way I'll say it. He's a solid player. 6'7", shot like 41% from 3 last season. So he's someone who can knock shots down, play a bit of defense. I think some might overvalue his defense a little bit, but he has the tools. He's not going to be somebody who's a super weak link on the team on that side of the ball. So like, yeah, that's pickup I like. Like you were naming off free agents a few weeks ago. Someone in the comments mentioned remembering this where Amir Coffey was the only name of the ones you listed where I was like, I could get down with that. Like that's more the speed I'm looking for. So I'm happy it's another wing player, someone with some size, 6'7", like I mentioned before, because a lot of the guys we've talked about being in the rotation are the smaller guards, especially when you're rolling out like the Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., AJ Green lineups where you're a little small. So having another option for a wing player that has some size is nice. If, of course, he does make it off of this camp deal onto a standard deal, which I would think is pretty likely based on what we've seen from him in the past.
Yeah, you mentioned the figures from last year and his numbers, and really there's, for the most part, he's been a very good to consistent 3-point shooter. He's a career 38% 3-point shooter, and the 2 years that were his leanest, he shot 28% and 32%. Those were, for all intents and purposes, the seasons that he played the least. He shot 32% his rookie year when he just played 18 games and took about 1 3 per game, and he shot 28% 2 seasons ago when he played 50 games and took less than 1 3 per game. Otherwise, as you noted, 41% last year, 38% the year prior to that, 38% the year prior to his 28% season, and then 41% in his second year in the league. So he's been a consistent 3-point shooter. He takes about 3 per game in limited minutes. He averages 18 minutes a game throughout his career, and ideally, that's probably the minute total you'd be looking at in a Bucks uniform for Amir Coffey. But not only the shooting, the biggest part, he's 6'7", and I don't know what his wingspan is, but that was a big discussion that we had. Not only with Ty, you and I talked about it too. You got depth, but you got a lot of guys that we anticipate to play the three for the Bucks who are 6'4". Not that it's a bad thing. You just love a little more size.
Like having the options. Like sometimes you're going to need a little bit more size. Sometimes you can get away with the smaller lineups. Like we discussed, I think last week, somewhere in there. Time is a blur with all of the stuff that's been going on this week with the flooding. But I think that we talked about the fact that when you're looking at size, and you and Ty talked about it as well, before it was Boston, like you need to make sure you have the wings to match up with Boston because they had Tatum, they had Brown, they just had options they could throw at you. But when you look around the East and like the size of guys, you don't necessarily need to have those big wings all the time. But when you do come up in those matches, maybe with some Western Conference teams as well along the way, or just certain lineups, being able to have the versatility to throw out a bigger wing is going to be really helpful. And if you want to get super small, I wouldn't say I put Amir Coffey in the role of a small ball four, but they have guys on the roster who makes sense as like a small ball four, from trying out the Kuz thing, which we heard last year when he was brought on as someone who might help unlock Giannis at the 5 lineups, which are another change of pace for the Bucks. So yeah, I like the Coffey pickup if he makes it to the regular roster. The question is, again, I think attention turns to Andre Jackson Jr.'s contract. And what does this mean for him necessarily? Because we know they pushed that extend date back or guarantee date back on that contract. And then you pick up somebody like Amir Coffey, who last year proved to be a really decent role player who can do a lot of the things the Bucks are looking for a role player to do. So camp is going to be interesting. There are going to be some stakes there.
Amir Coffey, as it has been pointed out in the comments, has a 6'7", 6'7.5" wingspan. So similar to a couple of guys that we've talked about on this Bucks team. And that's about the same as we've seen for AJ Green, who I think is 6'7". He's 6'4" with a 6'7" wingspan. Gary Trent Jr. actually has a 6'9" or a 6'10" wingspan. That's why you've seen the Bucks able to kind of play with he and AJ for the shooting and that purpose as well. But you do at least get the size from Amir Coffey throughout camp. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But I think we're both aligned here. I think Amir Coffey is on this team when the season opens up, as we'll get to with the schedule. The last thing, you mentioned Andre Jackson Jr. Is it just him we should be circling and keeping an eye on, or is there potentially somebody else on the roster that, you know, may be sacrificed for Amir Coffey?
I mean, when you think about it, like, it wouldn't be smart to just say, like, yeah, it's only Ajax that could be an option, because we've seen John Horst do some things too along the way where you're like, I didn't foresee this move coming, or I didn't think you could pull this off. So who knows exactly what that looks like. But I think I point to Ajax first as the person to look at, just because of the contract situation, and the ease it is to get from underneath that contract at the moment. I mean, I know we had a conversation too with Frank a few weeks ago about maybe Tyler Smith is that guy in the roster who the Bucks move on for. But I think because the Bucks have seen more from Andre Jackson Jr., that they might have a more definitive opinion about what he might be, and be more willing to part ways with him than a Tyler Smith at this point. But again, this is all just us guessing at the moment. You know, we have to see how things play off when training camp actually starts.
Yeah, we already talked about it, but I think it's, even for all the valid criticisms and questions and or concerns you could have, I think it's too early to move on from Tyler Smith. If it weren't for the fact that you literally just re-signed him less than a month ago, I think there's another interesting name you would look at and say, well, realistically, this guy is going to be playing and asked to play the same role as Amir Coffey. And I think we all feel more comfortable with Amir Coffey, but just re-signing him, and as you alluded to, it's easier to get out of Ajax's contract for the partial guarantee. That I think that's kind of where we're headed, but we shall see. And that's going to be one of the more interesting things to monitor throughout training camp now is the future of Amir Coffey and a couple of position battles for this Bucks team.
August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Perhaps you believe in the Green Bay Packers, that they would win Super Bowl 59, or maybe you have some division winner dark horses you'd like to parlay. Visit the FanDuel Sportsbook app and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game.
Does Modest Buzelis know something that none of us know, and Josh Giddey signing soon?
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast.
While I'm sure everybody has seen it by now, Modest Buzelis set the world on fire. Well, the Bulls community on fire late yesterday when he posted this. For those that are listening on the podcast side of things, it's a post from Modest Buzelis' secondary Instagram account, and it just says at Josh Giddey. He's adding Josh Giddey with the pin emoji and paper emoji. Hopefully that means that Josh Giddey is about to sign the damn contract. Now, this is the speculation that's gone throughout the summer. This has gone a lot longer than most people have expected it to, and that is Josh Giddey signing with the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls, who have been playing more hardball with Josh Giddey than initially thought, more than they've ever done with P. Will or anything like that. And it is what it is. It comes with the territory. And this negotiation reportedly has become a little contentious, a little bit, even though Casey Johnson fought back on the idea of that. That was initially, I think, said by Jake Fisher. And so now it just sits in this place where we're waiting and seeing. And at this point, I think we've talked about every possible outcome and scenario with the Josh Giddey contract, with the Josh Giddey offseason. And that means that the Bulls and Josh Giddey's agency have probably done the same exact thing. It's time for this to end. And I think most sides understand that and probably would agree with that. It is just time for this to end. And just everybody to go to their corners, deal with what the outcome and fallout of the deal is. I'm not here to say that I agree with the rumored deal, the rumored thing that has been handled, but at this point, it's not going to change. I think both sides have now. It's been roughly 60 days. Keep in mind, Josh Giddey could have signed a contract before the official start of free agency, at that moratorium period before there. So this has been going on for the close to 60 days. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it over with, and let's keep it pushing. And then everybody can plan what their future is going to be. The Bulls can plan with their future. Josh Giddey can feel the way that he's going to feel about this contract and go out and just focus on playing basketball. The next contract's going to take care of itself, and just let the chips fall where they may. That's the most important thing here. And I think Modest Buzelis and even this post here hints at maybe the Bulls players also feel the same way. Let's just get this done so that we can focus on what we need to do to be the team that we can be. And I don't think anybody would be mad at that. It's just focusing on being the team that you can be and letting everything else go the way that it's going to go. That's the most important thing. That's what you're trying to handle here. And so, overall, I know people are going to feel a way about Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey stands feel a way about it. Bulls fans are going to feel a way about it, like some Bulls fans are Josh Giddey haters. At the end of the day going to end, right? And Josh Giddey at this point is going to be a Chicago Bull. It's really not any money left out there unless, there's always a surprise deal that could happen, but it seems like this is going to conclude with Josh Giddey not getting the money that he feels that he wants or feels he's deserved. The Bulls are using their leverage to get him on a way more favorable deal. I still don't know why y'all didn't do that with Patrick Williams, but it is what it is when it comes down to it. That's just the way that the cookie crumbled in this free agency. And unfortunately, Josh Giddey was up to be a free agent at a time period where there wasn't a lot of money that was going around. And that's what it is. Modest seems like he's a little bit of a shit. No, I don't think this is starting ish at all. I think this is leadership. I think this is Josh Giddey understanding that not only the place that he holds in this franchise, but the fact that, people are going to keep in mind, this was on his secondary Instagram account. This is where he posts kind of more personal things. He does follow all his teammates on that Instagram account, which, the fact that now we live in a world where, what do they call it? Finstas. And I know I'm old, are such a thing that just everybody has a secondary Instagram account. I got too much social media to manage just doing podcasts. I ain't got time to have secondary versions of ones that I already have. That's stupid. But, nonetheless, that's the era that we live in, and they're going to have to deal with it the way that they deal with it, man. I haven't been this more annoyed since Zach LaVine is contemplating on signing with the Sacramento Kings. That wasn't even, but see, that process was even quicker. Keep in mind, like when the Zach LaVine, when he was a restricted free agent, I think it was like a week where the Bulls were like, go out and find your deal. He went out and signed the offer sheet with the Sacramento Kings. I think the Bulls matched the offer sheet within the first 24 hours, and we knew what was going to happen. So even that was a lot quicker than this situation. This is stupid. I want to use a different R word, but it's not PC anymore. But y'all can read between the lines. It's stupid. It's really stupid how far this has gone, especially when you have over the same offseason, you have the Bulls saying things like, oh, we see Josh Giddey as a foundational piece. We see him and Kobe as a foundation. They're going to be our backcourt going forward. We want nothing more than to be our backcourt for a while going forward. It's like, okay. All right. I hear what you're saying. The actions ain't necessarily following up, but I see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying. I got the scoop. Just texted Giddey. He sent back. That's funny. Wait, is that something that Modest posted? Or you saying you texted Josh Giddey? If you're saying you texted Josh Giddey, Vaughn, I highly doubt you from freaking Toledo, Ohio, got any connections to Josh Giddey while he's over in the strike. Your texting plan don't even cover that. It don't even cover that. I know that. Like, there's too many potholes until you need to be putting that money to fix some of those potholes in Toledo. But no, all jokes aside though. So, hopefully this thing comes to a resolution. And this is really the Josh Giddey contract is really the last order of business for the Chicago Bulls this offseason. Once they re-sign Josh Giddey, we're back to having basically the full rosters all on guaranteed deals. And at that point, we can just go forward. Now, that doesn't mean the Bulls may not make some midseason moves and trades or something like that. That's definitely is a possibility. But I think overall, like, it's just going, like, we just go forward. We can plan for training camp and let that be it, man. I'm just, you know what it is? I'm over stupid stuff. It's been a lot of stupid stuff this offseason with the Chicago Bulls. Like, you're playing hard ball with Josh Giddey. Patrick Williams is sitting there with a $19 million deal. Javon Carter, the ball-headed demon himself, he's still on the roster. And, he got a fully guaranteed deal. I don't know what none of this means, man. This is all stupid. It's just all very, very stupid. And I'm ready for it to be over because I'm ready to just talk about some basketball. That's what it is. This has been one of those, it's been so much to talk about with the Bulls offseason and nothing happened. Think about it. We talked about Nikola Vucevic trades. We talked about P. Will trades. We talked about Josh Giddey signing trades. We talked about Josh Giddey signing with other teams. We talked about the Bulls making a draft day trade. We talked about the Bulls have done nothing. This has been the most straightforward offseason that we may have ever seen for the Chicago Bulls. They traded Lonzo, which we all kind of expected. They re-signed Trey Jones after trading Lonzo, which we all kind of expected. They drafted Noah Essengay, which that means they just kept their draft pick. They made no moves in the draft. And they're signing back Josh Giddey. There's been so much talk and speculation for nothing to happen. It's like dry heaving. Like, what are we doing, bro? Off-season trade teases is it's ridiculous. It's frustrating. Not because of the state of the team. I understand with how many contracts that the Bulls have up at the end of the season that are unrestricted free agents, why you don't do a lot in this free agency. That's not the problem. The problem is that it's everybody's been so zeroed in on so many possibilities that the Chicago Bulls could do, and ain't nothing happened. Everything's been all bored. It's been the same thing. We understood everything that the Chicago Bulls are going to happen. I once said on this show that this was probably going to be a straightforward offseason where the Bulls are going to draft their draft pick, they're going to re-sign Josh Giddey, and things were going to stay the same. I didn't think that it was going to be this much of the same. I didn't think it was going to be this much speculation when stuff stays the same. We all knew, for the most part, that the Bulls weren't going to do nothing. Why has there been 50,000 trade rumors with the Chicago Bulls? Why? That's the question that we all have here. It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals. Tired of endlessly scrolling, trying to find the best deal? Well, Game Time's zone deals pick the best seats in your section for you. And with Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed.
The Lakers have a new strength and conditioning coach. I'll tell you why that is a big deal.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast.
Over the last, 10 years or so, the strength and conditioning coach, the trainer, this section of the Lakers basketball architecture has been a little bit like the defense against the dark arts teacher in Harry Potter. Like there's a new one every year. Like they can't seem to hold on to the good people. Something seems to happen. There's been tremendous turnover in this part of the basketball building for the Lakers. But finally, Andy, the Lakers not only hope they've found somebody that can lead them boldly into the future, they've found the guy that Luka would like for them to lead them boldly into the future.
Yeah, his name, is Jeremy Halsopple. I apologize if we are mispronouncing his last name. We're actually going to have Jeff Stotts, a very well-known and respected sports medicine expert, on our show for Thursday. And that is, among other things, something we can clarify with Jeff Stotts. How do you actually say Jeremy Halsopple?
But I could be wrong.
I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. What I do know is he was a former strength and conditioning coach with the Mavericks. In 2021, he was recognized as the NBA's top strength and conditioning coach. He was with the Mavericks during the run that they had to the Western Conference Finals with Luka and the run to the finals with Luka. He was fired shortly after that run to the finals in 2024, which coincided with, or was sort of in the same time period of others within the organization that in particular Luka had very good relationships with getting dismissed. It has been a well-documented source of tension between the Mavericks and Team Luka that I think was among many things that from the Mavericks side eventually led to the trade to the Lakers.
Yep.
But this has been thus far treated by a lot of people who follow this stuff very closely as a very, very good get for the Lakers beyond just the relationship between Luka and Halsopple, which, to be clear, matters as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, your star players are always going to have their own guys. They're going to have their own strength and conditioning team. They're going to have, but you want to be able to have people integrated into the organization, and you certainly want the in-house team, so to speak, to be somebody that your best players are comfortable working with. And I see one of the comments we'll get to here in a second. It gets to maybe why Dallas let him go. There was the idea, that the Mavs believed that Halsopple and the rest of that sort of team that was around Luka kind of enabled him. As Dad of Three points out, Luka got fat on this guy's watch. Why are the Lakers hiring him? I'm not totally sure that's a fair and accurate assessment of Luka, but it is reasonable to say like these questions about fitness aren't new. And this was a guy who was with and around Luka for a lot of that time. I think, okay. I don't know if a different trainer would have made a difference there or not. I mean, they let him go, and like last year was the last part of in Dallas, and it really didn't work, and people weren't happy with his conditioning, and there was a lot of belief that the Mavs and Luka's team were at odds as to how fast he should come back from that calf injury, as we have seen with
again another source of tension
yes
between Team Luka and the Mavericks, and this was very specific under the new / current ownership and during the Nico Harrison era. Like this growing tension between the people that Luka is comfortable with and the people that the Mavericks were uncomfortable with.
And it's one of those things too where, like, especially now you look at the Halliburton injury and Dame Lillard and all these other guys who are hurt themselves, suffered Achilles injuries after strained calves. Like you got to take this stuff seriously, and pushing a player back from that is going to it's going to create some tension. I think it's there, but like I am willing to take the word of people who know better than me. Again, we're going to talk tomorrow and get a little more background on what this means, on what Luka's fitness regime means, like all of these things, and that with Jeff Stotts. But I will take the word of people who talk about this as winning on the margins and the importance of the Lakers doing stuff like this, hiring the best infrastructure, getting the best infrastructure around their basketball department, the best trainers, the best nutrition guys, the best, like, these are things that should be commonplace for a team like the Lakers. And I think if you're looking for where they're going to improve in the Mark Walter era, it's in this sort of space. Like, I'm not saying this is a Mark Walter hire. This is a classic Lakers hire of, let's go get the team that makes our star player comfortable. Let's show that good faith to the guy who just inked on the first day that he was able, that we're going to get him, put back in place the support system inside the organization that he likes and that he appreciates.
And these are things that the Lakers in the past did with Kobe. They've done this with LeBron. Like, as you mentioned before, these are things that happen around the league. Like, it is something that the Lakers are doing for Luka, and that's great. But it's not a team, for lack of a better way of putting it, kissing a superstar's ass in a way that other teams wouldn't do.
So I agree with you, but like I want to see the Lakers do more of this, build out their nutrition thing, build out their sleep specialists, like all of these things, these little things that you can do if you're a team with money that you can spend in places that can't be spent on players, because there is a limit. It is a capped league. You can only do so much, but there is no limit to the nutritional infrastructure, the fitness and strength and conditioning, the analytics department, the basketball ops department, the guys who they should have the best person who helps new players find an apartment or a house. Like,
to be fair,
they've always been good at that. But
I was going to say that's one of the things that I believe Linda Rambis, among other things, does, and by all accounts, very good at it. Just in the interest of fairness, because Lord knows the Rambi have taken a lot of shots over the years.
So but all of these things, these sort of architectural things, that's what they should excel at. And to some degree, I see this as a reflection of that push. They've nothing else. They got to stop the turnover in the strength and conditioning department. They just have to.
Where have you gone, Gunnar Peterson?
Jeez, I mean, I remember that.
that, by the way. And I'm not saying that Gunnar Peterson was just like some superstar influencer or something like that. Like, I mean, he had credentials and whatever. But when they brought in Gunnar Peterson, aka trainer to the Kardashians, trainer to the stars, even with his credentials that everybody agreed upon, that was the most Lakery, the jokes write themselves.
Oh my God.